Hello everyone and welcome to Daria Draws. If you follow me on Instagram, then you know I just came back from vacation, so I do have more inspiration now to make videos and paintings and just overall will to live. And of course I will be making a little video about my trip for next week. And once I have intrigued you about this, let's talk about the video I have prepared for today. Now this is going to be the 2-color challenge, but I didn't want to pick the colors that were contrasting and just generally easy to work with. I wanted to create something a little more interesting and more challenging, so I picked colors that are very close in value. So without further ado, let's dive in. As you can see, I have chosen Indian yellow and St. Petersburg lilac, which is a very delicate lavender color, and the Indian yellow is more of a dark yellow, so it will be a little bit easier to create glazes with the yellow since it is the darker shade. And while preparing the palette, my task was to create as many shades as possible just by using these 2 colors, and I needed the shades to actually have a lot of difference between them. I mean, you can always add just a little bit to each mix, but I really needed them to have a little more difference in between the shades. So I ended up having 3 shades that I will be mostly working with, and they pretty much look like ice cream. Let's not deny that. Even though I am experimenting in terms of colors and their limit, I still want to stick to my technique, so I'm toning the canvas with some of the warm yellow, and that will be my base that I will be bouncing off of. Now with the small brush and the Indian yellow, I'm sketching the hand. Of course, I am going to use the purple, but that will come a bit later. Before going into purples, I want to make sure I have a good yellow base because yellow is serving as the darker color now. So once I apply purple, there's kind of no going back. So apart from the structure, I'm also working on the values just by using yellow. When painting the hands, it is important to keep in mind that you have to follow certain rules of the anatomy and make the hands look functional and correct in terms of how nature made us, but also think about the personality of the owner of the hands, and actually this body part can just tell so much about the person. You can just create a whole portrait only by using hands and it would still be very impactful. Now once I'm happy with the structure, I'm moving on to the values and using more purple in them. And as I said, the yellow is the dark tone here and the purple is the lighter tone. So I'm starting with the mix that mostly contains the yellow, and I'm slowly going to move to the mix that contains more purple. And of course, the places that have the most shadow and are the darkest are going to stay simply pure yellow. However, this painting is not a La Prima, so I did have to have a couple sittings so that I could do the glazing and just really bring out some of the details, even if the format is that tiny. When dealing with colors that are very similar in value, but you still want the shapes to pop, it's important to use separate brushes, of course, for each. So you would have a brush for yellow, a brush for the pure purple, and one that is for the mixes, so that the colors kind of stay cleaner and it's just not a muddy mess. I decided to make the background purple since the hand is mostly yellow, and having a lighter background really helps to bring out those shapes in the hand. I'm redrawing some of the shadows that have been lost during the overall coverage of the hand, so that the structure is still there and it is not lost. It is also important to keep in mind that you start with the bigger shapes and then move into closer and finer detail, just because it is very difficult to start with a nail and then build a whole hand from it. It is much easier to narrow down and just kind of bring in all the detail when the main structures are there, and that is why I never sketch fully, and I know that I will be changing certain things, so usually I just kind of start with the overall shadows, overall lights, and then I go into the finer details. If you know anything about my art, you know that I like having soft, colorful paintings, but even there, some of the strokes need to be very sharp and harsh. For example, in the hand, usually the lines between the fingers, like especially if they're touching, so here they would be a lot sharper than, for instance, here where the shape is kind of rounding up. So all of these details are also quite important because that's what will make them look a little more professional. As I am progressing in the painting, I'm adding more and more purple, which means more light. As always, there is nothing new in that, apart from thinking in the yellow and purple values instead of lights and darks. Yes, there are more purples now in the hand, but still the overall kind of undertone of the hand is yellow. So don't want to go away too much from that, just to preserve the yellow on the purple background. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video and maybe learned a couple tricks along the way. If you would like to see more content from me in the future, simply subscribe to the channel. And if you would like to see more videos right now, you can just click on either of those. And I'll see you in the next one.